Welcome to ZenLight 8, your gateway to unlocking the light within and mastering your life. What if I told you that the greatest victory isn't out there in the world, but right inside you? It's not about money, fame, or approval. It's about a quiet, unshakable strength that doesn't need a spotlight but can transform everything. Are you ready to awaken the unstoppable power that's been hiding in your soul all along? Join us on ZenLight 8 as we dive into the Stoic philosophy to discover the key to living a bold, meaningful life. Hit that like button and subscribe so you don't miss a single spark of inspiration. Understanding true strength. What if I told you that the most powerful force in your life isn't something you can flex in a gym or shout from a rooftop? What if the real strength, the kind that carries you through storms, lifts you from the ashes, and sets you free from the chaos of the world, isn't loud, flashy, or even visible to the naked eye? Too often, we're conditioned to think strength is about bulging muscles, commanding attention, or bending others to our will. But the truth is far deeper, far quieter, and infinitely more enduring. True strength isn't about what you can show off. It's about what you can endure, what you can master within the silent chambers of your own mind. It's a resilience that doesn't need applause, a power that doesn't beg for validation. It's the unshakable core that keeps you standing when everything around you crumbles. Are you ready to rethink what strength really means? Let's dive in and uncover the force that's been waiting inside you all along. Strength beyond the surface. Picture this. A towering bodybuilder lifts a barbell twice his weight, veins popping, crowd cheering. Impressive, right? Or imagine a CEO barking orders, dominating a boardroom, their voice drowning out every whisper of dissent. That's what the world sells us as strength. Something loud, something physical, something that demands to be seen. But here's the catch. That kind of strength fades. Muscles weaken with age, voices lose their echo, and the spotlight moves on. What's left when the noise dies down? That's where true strength reveals itself. Not in the roar of the crowd, but in the quiet of your soul. It's the ability to face a storm without flinching, to walk through fire without breaking, to stand tall when no one's watching. It's not about what the world can see. It's about what you can feel deep within, a steady flame that no wind can extinguish. Think about the moments in your life when you felt truly strong. Was it when you were shouting your victories from the mountaintops? Or was it when you sat alone, wrestling with doubt, fear, or pain, and still found a way to keep going? That's the essence of real strength, a silent, unyielding force that doesn't need an audience. It's the mother who wakes up every day to care for her kids despite exhaustion, the worker who pushes through a soul-crushing job to build a better future, the person who faces loss and still chooses to smile. These aren't acts of bravado. They're acts of quiet courage, the kind that doesn't demand a medal but deserves one all the same. The power of control. So what is this strength made of? It's not steel or thunder, it's control. Control over your thoughts, your emotions, your actions. In a world that's constantly spinning out of control, deadlines piling up, relationships fraying, news blaring chaos, the ability to master yourself is the ultimate superpower. Think about it. How often do we let the outside world dictate how we feel? A rude comment ruins our day. A setback sends us spiraling. A fleeting success inflates our ego. We're like leaves in the wind, tossed around by whatever comes our way. But true strength flips the script. It says, I decide how I respond. I choose what matters. I hold the reins of my mind, and no one else. This isn't about being cold or robotic. It's about being the captain of your own ship. When the waves crash and the skies darken, you don't abandon the helm, you steer through it. Imagine you're stuck in traffic, late for something important. The guy in the next car is honking, yelling, losing his mind. You feel the heat rising in your chest, the urge to snap back. But then you pause. You breathe. You let it go. That's strength, not because you won a fight, but because you didn't let the fight win you. It's the ability to stay calm when everything around you is chaotic, to keep your footing when the ground shakes beneath you. The Stoics, those ancient masters of wisdom, knew this well. They taught that while we can't control the world, we can control ourselves. And that's where real power lies. The silent resilience. Let's take it deeper. True strength isn't just about staying calm in a moment of frustration. It's about enduring the long haul. Life isn't a sprint. It's a marathon, and sometimes it feels like the finish line keeps moving farther away. Maybe you faced a year where everything went wrong, a job loss, a health scare, a broken heart. The world tells you to give up, to crumble, to let it crush you. But you didn't. You woke up each day, put one foot in front of the other, and kept moving forward. That's resilience, the quiet backbone of true strength. It's not flashy. There's no parade for getting out of bed when you'd rather hide under the covers. But it's real. It's the kind of strength that builds empires, not with fanfare, but with persistence. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher, once wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." He ruled an empire, faced wars, and dealt with betrayal. Yet he found his anchor not in his crown, but in his ability to govern himself. That's the secret. Strength isn't about never falling. It's about refusing to stay down. It's the courage to look at a mountain of challenges and say, "I'll climb it, one step at a time." It's not loud. It's not proud. It's steady, unshakable, and yours to claim. Strength in the silence. Here's where it gets beautiful. True strength thrives in silence. The world loves noise, the clatter of applause, the buzz of social media likes, the chatter of validation. But real power doesn't need a soundtrack. It grows in the moments when you're alone with your thoughts, when the distractions fade, and you're left with nothing but yourself. Ever notice how the loudest people in the room are often the most fragile? They're shouting to drown out their doubts, to convince themselves they're strong. But the quiet ones, the ones who don't need to prove anything, they're the ones who carry the real weight. Try this. The next time life gets overwhelming, step away. Find a quiet corner, close your eyes, and just breathe. No phone, no noise, no excuses. In that stillness, you'll hear it, the steady hum of your own resilience. It's not yelling for attention. It's whispering, "You've got this." That's where strength lives, not in the chaos, but in the calm. It's the ability to sit with your fears, your failures, your dreams, and not run from them. It's the choice to face yourself, to master yourself, without needing anyone else to tell you you're enough. Never letting life crush you. Let's bring it home. True strength is about never letting life crush you. It's not about avoiding the blows, because trust me, they'll come, but about standing tall through them. Life will throw punches, rejection, grief, uncertainty. It'll try to knock you down, to make you feel small, to break your spirit. And yeah, there'll be days when you stumble, when the weight feels too heavy. That's okay. Strength isn't perfection. It's persistence. It's the decision to rise again, to dust yourself off, to say, "Not today." It's the refusal to let the chaos define you. Think of someone you admire, not a celebrity, but someone real in your life. Maybe it's a friend who survived a dark chapter, a parent who kept going despite the odds, or even you in a moment you've forgotten. What made them strong? It wasn't their ability to avoid pain. It was their ability to endure it, to keep their head high when everything screamed to give up. That's the strength I'm talking about, the kind that doesn't bend under pressure, that doesn't shatter under strain. It's the quiet resolve to keep moving, to keep believing, to keep being you no matter what. Unlocking your true strength. So how do you tap into this? It starts with awareness. Notice when you're letting the world pull your strings. When a bad day turns into a bad mood. When someone's words cut deeper than they should. Pause. Ask yourself, am I in control here, or am I letting this control me? Then choose. Choose to breathe instead of snap, to reflect instead of react, to stand instead of sink. It's not easy at first. Like any muscle, it takes practice to build. But every time you choose control, every time you choose resilience, you get stronger. You become the person who doesn't just survive the storm but dances in it. This is your power, your birthright. It's not out there in the hands of others. It's in you, waiting to be claimed. The Stoics knew it, history proves it, and deep down you feel it. True strength isn't about crushing others or conquering the world. It's about never letting life crush you. It's the calm in the chaos, the light in the dark, the fire that no one can put out. So, the next time you doubt yourself, the next time the world tries to break you, remember this. You've got a strength inside you that's tougher than steel, quieter than a whisper, and more powerful than anything life can throw your way. Unlock it, own it, and watch how it changes everything. The power of the mind. What if the secret to winning every battle in your life isn't found in the world around you, but in the quiet space between your ears? What if the real game changer isn't luck, talent, or circumstance, but the way you think, the way you see, the way you choose to respond? Most people spend their lives believing that their fate hinges on what happens out there. A promotion, a relationship, a stroke of good fortune. But here's the truth they miss. The mind is where it all begins. It's the battlefield where every victory is won or lost. The forge where your destiny is shaped. The world can throw chaos at you, strip away your plans, and test your limits. But it can never take away your mind. And that's your ultimate weapon. You can't always control what happens, but you can always control how you think about it, how you react to it, and that's the power that makes you unstoppable. Ready to discover the strength that's been hiding in plain sight? Let's unlock the power of your mind and see how it can change everything. The mind as the ultimate battleground. Picture this. Two people face the same disaster, a job loss, let's say. One spirals into despair, convinced their life is over, drowning in thoughts of failure and shame. The other takes a deep breath, nods at the setback, and starts plotting their next move. Same event, same circumstances, wildly different outcomes. Why? Because the real fight didn't happen in the HR office, it happened in their heads. The mind isn't just a bystander in your life. It's the arena where every struggle plays out. How you perceive the world, the stories you tell yourself, the thoughts you let take root, that's what decides whether you rise or fall. Think about your own life. How many times have you let a single moment, a harsh word, a missed chance, a rainy day, color your entire reality? We've all been there, handing over our power to things we can't change. But here's the kicker. The world outside is a mess. It's unpredictable, unfair, and often downright brutal. You can't stop the rain, silence the critic, or rewind the clock. What you can do is decide what it means to you. The Stoics nailed this idea centuries ago. External events don't have the power to ruin your happiness or steal your peace. Only your mind does. It's not the flat tire that wrecks your day. It's the voice in your head screaming, "Why does this always happen to me?" The mind is where the battle begins, and it's where it ends. Perception shapes reality. Let's go deeper. Your mind doesn't just react to the world, it creates it. Every experience you have, from the smallest annoyance to the biggest triumph, is filtered through the lens of your thoughts. Imagine you're walking down the street, and someone bumps into you without apologizing. One thought might say, "They're rude, people are so selfish." And suddenly your mood sours, your shoulders tense, and the day feels heavier. Another thought might say, "They're probably distracted, no big deal." And you shrug it off, keeping your peace intact. Same bump, same stranger, two different worlds. That's the power of perception. It doesn't just reflect reality. It builds it. This isn't some feel-good fluff. It's science and philosophy rolled into one. Your brain is wired to interpret everything, to assign meaning, to spin a story. And here's the wild part. You get to choose the story. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus said it best. Men are disturbed not by things, but by the views they take of them. Lose your job? You can see it as a disaster or a doorway. Miss a deadline? It's either a death blow to your worth or a nudge to get sharper. The event doesn't change, your mind does. And when you master that shift, you stop being a victim of life and start being its architect. The choice to respond. Now, let's talk about the real magic: reaction. Life hits you hard sometimes, and your first instinct might be to lash out, shut down, or crumble. That's human. But strength isn't about what you feel in the heat of the moment. It's about what you do next. You can't control the coworker who snaps at you, the traffic jam that makes you late, or the curveball that upends your plans. But you can control what comes out of your mouth, what swirls in your head, what steps you take afterward. That's where the power lies. in the pause between what happens and how you respond. Try this. Next time something throws you off, a rude email, a broken promise, stop. Take a breath. Ask yourself, what's the story I'm telling myself right now? Is it true? Is it helpful? Maybe your boss critiques your work, and your gut screams, I'm a failure. Pause. Rewrite it. This is feedback, not a verdict. I can use it to grow. That shift doesn't erase the sting, but it keeps it from owning you. It's not about pretending everything's fine. It's about refusing to let the outside world call the shots. The Stoics called this the art of assent. You don't have to say yes to every thought that pops up. You get to choose which ones stick, and that choice is your shield. Mastering the mind in chaos. Here's where it gets real. The power of the mind shines brightest when everything falls apart. Picture a day when it all goes wrong, your car breaks down, your phone dies, your plans unravel. Chaos is loud, relentless, and it wants you to break. Most people do. They rage, they panic, they give up. But you can be different. You can stand in the eye of the storm and say, I'm still here. I'm still me. That's not denial. That's defiance. It's the mind flexing its muscle, proving it's tougher than the mess around it. Think of the greats, not the flawless heroes of myth, but the real ones. Nelson Mandela spent 27 years in prison, yet emerged unbroken. How? He didn't control the bars, but he controlled his thoughts. He chose hope over hate, purpose over despair. Or take someone closer to home. Maybe a friend who's faced cancer, divorce, or betrayal and still radiates calm. Their secret isn't luck, it's mastery. They've learned that the mind can bend without breaking, that it can find light in the dark. You have that same power. It's not about avoiding the chaos. It's about ruling it. From victim to victor. Let's flip the script. Every time your mind spins out, I can't handle this. This is too much. I'm done. It's handing victory to the world. You become the victim not because you're weak, but because you've surrendered the reins. But when you take them back, when you say, I decide how this ends, you step into a new role, the victor. It's not about winning every fight out there. It's about winning the one in here. A spilled coffee doesn't ruin your morning unless you let it. A rejection doesn't define you unless you agree it does. The mind is your fortress. No one storms it unless you open the gate. Ask yourself, who's in charge right now? Are your thoughts running wild, dragging you through the mud? Or are you steering them, pointing them towards something stronger? The Stoics believed we're born with this gift, the ability to reason, to choose, to rise above. It's not always easy. Doubt creeps in, emotions flare, old habits pull hard. But every time you catch yourself, every time you redirect, you build that muscle. You become the person who doesn't just survive life's punches, you dance with them. Unlocking the unstoppable you. So how do you harness this? Start small. Next time you're stressed, a deadline looming, a fight brewing, notice your thoughts. Don't judge them. Observe them. I'm freaking out because I might fail. Okay, now challenge it. Or I might succeed. Either way, I'll learn. Then act not out of panic, but out of purpose. It's a practice, not a switch. Some days you'll slip, and that's fine. Strength isn't perfection. It's persistence. Keep showing up, keep choosing, and watch how the battlefield shifts. This is your power. The mind no one can touch, the weapon no one can steal. The world will keep spinning, wild and messy as ever. But you can stand firm, unshaken, because you've got the one thing that matters under control. You. The Stoics knew it, history proves it, and now it's yours to claim. So, the next time life tests you, and it will remember, the fight's not out there. It's in here. Win it and you'll be unstoppable. Facing adversity with courage. What if I told you that the toughest moments in your life, the ones that make your heart race, your palms sweat, and your knees tremble, are actually your greatest opportunities? Life isn't a smooth ride. It's a wild, unpredictable storm, and adversity is its constant companion. No matter who you are, where you come from, or how hard you try to dodge it, hardship will find you. It'll knock on your door with a job loss, a heartbreak, a failure that stings deeper than you'd ever admit. But here's the secret the world doesn't tell you. It's not the adversity itself that defines you, it's how you face it. Courage isn't about sidestepping the punches or pretending they don't hurt. It's about staring them down, feeling the fear, and stepping forward anyway. It's about turning the very things that threaten to break you into the tools that build you stronger. Are you ready to meet life's challenges head-on and discover the unbreakable courage within you? Let's dive into what it means to face adversity with a heart full of fire. Adversity, the inevitable visitor. Let's get real. No one escapes adversity. It's not a question of if it'll come, but when and how often. Maybe it's already here for you. A dream that crumbled, a betrayal that cut deep, or a day when everything went wrong at once. The world loves to sell us the lie that a good life is a pain-free life, that if we just plan enough, work hard enough, or get lucky enough, we can outrun the tough stuff. But that's a fantasy. Life doesn't play by those rules. The Stoics knew this better than anyone. They saw adversity not as an enemy to avoid, but as an inevitable part of the human experience. A guest that shows up uninvited, but always leaves a lesson behind. Think about it. Every story worth telling has a struggle. The hero doesn't win because the path is easy. They win because the path is hard and they keep going. You've got your own story, moments when the weight felt too heavy, when giving up seemed like the only option. Maybe it was losing a loved one, hitting rock bottom financially, or facing a fear so big it swallowed your sleep. Those moments don't feel good. They're raw, messy, brutal, but they're also where courage is born. Because the truth is, adversity doesn't care about your plans or your comfort zone. It's coming anyway. The only question is, will you run from it, or will you rise to meet it? Courage isn't fearlessness. Here's where we bust a myth. Courage isn't about being fearless. The world loves that image, the stone-faced warrior who never blinks, never doubts, never trembles. But that's not real courage. That's a movie prop. True courage is messier, grittier, and far more human. It's the pounding heart that still says, "I'll do it." It's the shaky hands that still reach out. It's the voice in your head screaming, "I can't," while your feet keep moving forward. Courage doesn't erase fear. It walks through it, eyes wide open, refusing to let it call the shots. Think of a time you were scared out of your mind. Maybe it was standing up to a bully, asking for a raise, or walking away from something toxic. Your stomach churned. Your mind raced with worst-case scenarios. Failure, rejection, judgment. But you did it anyway. That's courage. Not because you weren't afraid, but because you were, and you acted in spite of it. The Stoics had a word for this. Andrea, the strength to face what terrifies you. Marcus Aurelius, a man who knew war and loss, wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." In other words, the fear, the obstacle, the adversity, that's not your enemy. It's your teacher, your proving ground, your chance to show what you're made of. Turning pain into power. Let's take it further. Adversity isn't just something to survive. It's something to use. Every challenge that slams into you is a raw material, a lump of clay waiting for you to shape it. Lose your job? It's a chance to rethink your path, to chase what really matters. Fail at something big? It's a lesson in resilience, a map to do better next time. Face rejection? It's a push to dig deeper into your own worth, beyond what others think. The world sees these as setbacks. Courage sees them as setups for growth, for strength, for a version of you that's tougher than before. Look at history's giants. Abraham Lincoln lost election after election, faced depression, and buried a child. Yet he kept running, kept leading, kept believing. J.K. Rowling was a single mom on welfare, rejected by publishers, staring at a blank future. Yet she kept writing, turning desperation into a world that inspired millions. What set them apart wasn't that life spared them pain. It was that they faced it with courage, turning the ashes of adversity into the bricks of greatness. You've got that same potential. That fight you're in right now. The one that's keeping you up at night. It's not here to destroy you. It's here to forge you. The quiet act of moving forward. Courage doesn't always look like a grand gesture. It's not always the soldier charging into battle or the protester facing down a crowd. More often, it's quieter, smaller, but no less powerful. It's the single parent who gets up at dawn after crying all night, putting on a brave face for their kids. It's the student who fails a test but opens the book again instead of quitting. It's you saying, "I'll try one more time," when every fiber of your being wants to stop. These aren't the moments that make headlines, but they're the ones that make heroes. Think about your own life. When was the last time you kept going when it would have been easier to give up? Maybe it was a phone call you didn't want to make, a workout you pushed through, a truth you finally spoke. No one threw you a parade, but you felt it, that spark of courage, that quiet victory. That's the real deal. It's not about the size of the act. It's about the size of the heart behind it. The Stoics didn't chase glory. They chased virtue, the kind that shows up when no one's watching. Every step you take through fear, every yes you say to the hard thing, builds a courage that no one can take away. Facing the fire. Let's get practical. Adversity isn't abstract. It's the fire in your face right now. So how do you face it with courage? First, feel it. Don't run from the fear, the pain, the what-ifs. Let them sit there, heavy as they are. Acknowledge them. Yeah, this sucks. Yeah, I'm scared. That's not weakness, that's honesty. The first step to owning it. Then ask, what can I do about it? Not, can I fix everything? Because sometimes you can't. But, what's one move I can make? Maybe it's asking for help, starting over, or just getting out of bed. Courage isn't about having all the answers. It's about taking the next step when you don't. Next, reframe it. That thing trying to break you is a chance to prove you won't break. Lost a friend? You're learning who's real. Hit a wall? You're building grit to climb it. The Stoics loved this trick. They'd flip the script, seeing obstacles as invitations. This isn't stopping me, they'd say. It's shaping me. Try it. When the fear kicks in, tell yourself, this is my moment. This is where I show up. It won't feel true at first, but keep saying it. Courage grows in the telling. The strength you prove. Here's the payoff. Every time you face adversity with courage, you prove something to yourself. You prove you're tougher than you thought, braver than you felt, stronger than the world expected. That job rejection, you applied again. That heartbreak, you loved again. That fall, you stood again. Each battle leaves a mark, or not a scar of defeat, but a badge of victory. The Stoics believed life's struggles were the forge where character is hammered out, and they were right. The more you face, the stronger you become, until one day you look back and realize, nothing can shake you anymore. So, the next time adversity knocks, and it will, don't flinch. Don't hide. Stand tall, feel the fear, and step into it. You don't have to be fearless. You just have to be willing. Willing to act, willing to grow, willing to turn the hard stuff into your strength. That's courage, not the absence of fear, but the defiance of it. It's already in you, waiting to roar. Let it out and watch how it changes everything. Mastering emotions. What if the key to unshakable strength isn't locking your feelings away or chasing endless highs, but learning to steer them like a ship through a storm? Emotions are wild, raw, and undeniably human. They crash over us like waves, lifting us to the skies one moment and dragging us under the next. The world tells us to chase happiness, dodge sadness, indulge in joy, and run from pain, as if feelings are the masters and we're just along for the ride. But here's the truth. Letting emotions run the show is giving away your power. True mastery isn't about shutting them off. It's about taking the helm, watching them rise and fall, and choosing how you respond with clear, steady intent. It's not about losing the chaos. It's about finding peace within it. Are you ready to stop being a puppet to your feelings and start being their captain? Let's dive into the art of mastering emotions and uncover the strength that's waiting beneath the surface. Emotions, the natural storm. Let's start here. Emotions aren't the enemy. They're as natural as the air you breathe. Anger flares when you're wronged. Joy bubbles up when life shines. Fear grips you when the unknown looms. They're part of the package, wired into your bones. The problem isn't that you feel them. It's that we've been taught to let them rule. Think about it. How many times has a flash of anger turned a small argument into a shouting match? How often has fear stopped you from taking a risk, or sadness kept you in bed when the world needed you? We've all been there, swept away by the current, handing over control to whatever emotion hits hardest. The world doesn't help. It's obsessed with highs, chase the next thrill, post the perfect moment, numb the lows with distractions. But that's a trap. Emotions aren't meant to be chased or crushed. They're meant to be understood. The Stoics got this right. They didn't see feelings as good or bad. They saw them as signals, like weather on the horizon. A storm isn't evil. It just is. What matters is how you sail through it. When you let emotions dictate your actions, snapping at a friend, quitting in a panic, wallowing in despair, you're not weak. You're just unmoored. Mastery is the anchor that keeps you steady, no matter how fierce the wind blows. The cost of losing control. Let's get real. Unchecked emotions don't just mess with your day, they mess with your life. Picture this, you're driving, someone cuts you off and rage takes over. You honk, you yell, maybe you tailgate, and suddenly a 2-second annoyance owns you. Your heart's pounding, your mind's racing, and for what? Or maybe it's subtler. A coworker's snarky comment stings, and you spend hours stewing, replaying it, letting it sour your mood. That's power slipping through your fingers. Hand it over to something fleeting, something you can't even hold. Now flip it. How about fear? That job interview, that big decision, that leap you've been dreaming of. Fear whispers, you'll fail, and you freeze. Opportunity knocks, but you're too busy trembling to answer. Or doubt. It creeps in after a setback, telling you you're not enough, and instead of pushing forward, you shrink. Every time you let these emotions steer, you're not just reacting, you're surrendering. You're letting a momentary flare-up decide who you are, what you do, how you live. But it doesn't have to be that way. You're not a slave to your feelings, you're their master, if you choose to be. Observing, not obeying. So how do you take back the wheel? It starts with a shift. Stop fighting your emotions and start watching them. The Stoics didn't suppress their feelings, they studied them. Imagine anger bubbling up, your chest tightens, your fists clench, your mind screams, "This isn't fair." Most of us dive in, letting it explode or fester. But what if you paused? What if you stepped back and said, "Okay, I'm angry. Why? What's this telling me?" You don't shove it down. You don't let it erupt, you observe it like a scientist with a specimen. My heart's racing. Interesting. This must have hit a nerve. That pause is everything. It's the space where mastery begins. You're not denying the emotion, you're naming it, understanding it, stripping it of its blind power. Maybe you're mad because someone crossed a boundary, or scared because you're stepping into the unknown. Fine. That's data, not destiny. The Stoics called this ascent. You don't have to say yes to every feeling that knocks. You get to decide, does this deserve my energy? Does it deserve my peace? 9 times out of 10, it doesn't. And in that choice, you're not just reacting, you're ruling. Choosing your response. Here's where the rubber meets the road. Mastery isn't about what you feel. It's about what you do with it. Emotions hit fast, a wave of frustration, a stab of jealousy, a flood of sadness. Your gut says, act now. But strength says, wait, take a breath, ask, what's the smart move here? What aligns with who I want to be? Maybe your kid spills juice all over the floor, and irritation flares. You could snap, or you could breathe, grab a towel and say, accidents happen. Same feeling, different choice, different you. Think of it like a filter. Emotions are raw input, unpolished, chaotic, loud. Your job is to refine them, to run them through reason before they spill out. A rude email lands in your inbox, and anger spikes. Old you might fire back a snarky reply. New you pauses, reads it again, and responds with calm clarity, or not at all. That's not weakness, that's power. It's not about pretending you're fine. It's about deciding what's worth your fire. The Stoics loved this. They'd ask, is this in my control? If not, let it go. If yes, handle it not with heat, but with heart and head aligned. The peace within the chaos. Let's go deeper. Mastering emotions isn't just about avoiding blow-ups. It's about protecting your peace. Life's a circus, deadlines, drama, curveballs, and your feelings will dance to the tune if you let them. But when you take charge, you build a sanctuary inside, a quiet core that no storm can touch. Picture this: your boss chews you out, your phone's blowing up with bad news, and the day's falling apart. Chaos is loud. But you're steady. You feel the frustration. Sure, it's there, gnawing, but you don't let it own you. You breathe, you focus, you move forward. That's the prize. Inner peace, not as a gift from the world, but as a fortress you forge. Ever met someone who radiates calm no matter what? They're not immune to pain. They've just learned the art of riding the wave. Seneca, the Stoic sage, said, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." Your mind can amplify a flicker of anger into a wildfire, a twinge of fear into a nightmare, unless you step in. Mastery means shrinking the gap between what happens and how it hits you. You're not cold. You're centered. You're not detached. You're deliberate. And that calm is not just relief, it's strength. The kind that carries you through anything. Practice makes power. How do you get there? It's not a switch you flip. It's a skill you build. Start small. Next time an emotion spikes, joy, rage, whatever, catch it. Name it. I'm pissed off. Feel it. My jaw's tight. My pulse is up. Then choose. Do I yell or do I walk away? It's clunky at first. You'll slip, you'll snap, you'll stew. That's okay. Every stumble's a lesson. The more you practice, the quicker the pause comes, the sharper your control gets. Soon, it's second nature, not because the emotions fade, but because you've tamed them. Try this: when the heat's on, breathe. 5 seconds in, 5 seconds out. It's not magic, it's biology. Slowing the rush so your brain can catch up. Then ask, what's the rational move? Not what do I feel like doing? That's the trap. Maybe you're hurt by a friend's words. Feeling says, cut them off. Reason says, talk it out. You pick the path that builds, not burns. Over time, you'll notice. The waves still crash, but they don't drown you. You're surfing them instead. The strength you claim. Here's the payoff. When you master your emotions, you reclaim your power. No one can rattle you unless you let them. No moment can break you unless you agree it does. You're not at the mercy of anger, fear, or doubt. You're above them, wielding them like tools instead of being their toy. The Stoics knew this. True freedom isn't a perfect life. It's a mind that bends but never bows. That fight with your spouse? You feel it, but you don't fuel it. That fear of failure? It's there, but it doesn't stop you. You're human, not a statue, but you're a human who chooses. So, the next time your emotions surge, and they will, don't run, don't hide, don't explode. Watch them. Understand them. Steer them. You're not your feelings. You're the one who decides what they mean, what they do, where they take you. That's mastery. That's peace. That's strength no one can touch. Claim it, and watch how it transforms everything. Embracing silence and stillness. What if the greatest strength you'll ever find isn't in the rush of the world, but in the quiet moments you've been taught to avoid? We live in a whirlwind, phones buzzing, screens flashing, voices show, ooting for attention, a constant hum of noise that drowns out everything else. The world screams that strength comes from doing more, being louder, chasing harder. But what if it's the opposite? What if real power lies in stepping back, in finding silence, in letting the chaos fade until all that's left is you? In that stillness, you don't just escape the storm, you connect with a force inside that nothing can shake. It's not about running from life. It's about reclaiming it, stripping away the distractions to hear your own voice, to feel your own strength. Are you ready to stop the noise and discover the calm that's been waiting all along? Let's explore the transformative power of silence and stillness. Your sanctuary, your superpower, the noise of the world. Let's paint the picture. You wake up to an alarm, scroll through a flood of notifications, rush through traffic with horns blaring, and spend the day juggling deadlines, chatter, and demands. Even the quiet moments aren't quiet. There's a podcast in your ears, a TV in the background, a mind racing with to-dos. We're addicted to noise, conditioned to think that silence is empty, boring, weak. The louder you are, the more you do, the stronger you seem, right? That's the lie we've bought. The loudest voices often hide the emptiest hearts, shouting to fill a void they can't face. But the quiet ones? The ones who can sit still, who don't need the clamor. They've got something deeper, something real. Think about it. When was the last time you were truly alone with your thoughts? Not distracted, not numbed, just you and the silence. It's rare, and that's no accident. The world thrives on keeping you busy, keeping you plugged in, keeping you from looking inward. But here's the catch. All that noise doesn't make you stronger. It makes you fragile. Pulls you in 100 directions, scatters your focus, drowns out your clarity. The Stoics saw through this centuries ago. They knew that silence isn't weakness. It's a fortress. A space where you reconnect with the strength that's always been there, waiting beneath the racket. Silence as a sanctuary. So what happens when you turn down the volume? Something magic, something powerful. Silence isn't just the absence of sound. It's the presence of you. It's where you hear your own heartbeat, feel your own breath, untangle your own thoughts. In a world that's always tugging at you, look here, do this, be that. Stillness is rebellion. It's saying, no, I'm not yours to control. I'm mine. The stepping off the treadmill of noise and into a space where you can breathe, think, be. That's not running away, that's standing firm. Ever had one of those moments? A walk in the woods with no phone, a quiet morning before the house wakes up, a few minutes staring at the sky, time slows, your shoulders drop, the knot in your chest loosens. That's silence doing its work, not fixing the world, but fixing you. It's a reset button, a chance to peel back the layers of stress, doubt, and distraction. The Stoics cherished this. They'd retreat to write, to reflect, to wrestle with life's big questions, not because they were soft, but because they knew that real strength grows in the quiet. Marcus Aurelius didn't rule an empire by shouting. He ruled it by thinking, by finding calm amid the chaos. The power of reflection. Let's go deeper. Silence isn't just rest, it's revelation. When the noise fades, you're left with your thoughts, raw and unfiltered. That can be scary. No distractions to hide behind. No chatter to drown out the hard stuff. But that's where the gold is. In stillness, you can ask the questions that matter. What do I really want? Why am I upset? What's holding me back? You can challenge the stories you've been telling yourself. I'm not good enough. I have to keep up. I'll deal with it later. Noise lets you dodge those truths. Silence forces you to face them. Try it. Sit for 5 minutes, no phone, no agenda. Your mind will squirm. It's used to the buzz. But stick with it. You'll start to hear things, a worry you've ignored, a dream you've buried, a truth you've dodged. That's not weakness. That's courage. The Stoics called this self-examination, a daily habit of looking inward, not to wallow but to grow. Seneca wrote, "Retire into yourself as much as you can." Why? Because that's where you sift through the clutter, where you find clarity, where you decide who you're going to be. Silence isn't passive. It's active. A forge where you hammer out your strength, cutting through the distractions. Here's the kicker. The world's noise isn't just loud. It's a thief. It steals your focus, your time, your peace. How many hours have you lost to scrolling, to arguing, to chasing things that don't matter? Distractions feel urgent? Answer this. Watch that. But they're hollow. They keep you spinning, reacting, never really living. Stillness cuts through that. It's a blade, sharp and clean, slicing away what's trivial to reveal what's true. In silence, you see, that text can wait, that grudge isn't worth it, that goal you've been chasing might not even be yours. Think of a day when you were pulled in every direction: work, family, news, noise. By the end, you're drained, not because you did so much, but because you felt so much, scattered and stretched thin. Now imagine a day with pockets of quiet, a moment to breathe, to think, to choose. You're not less productive, you're more deliberate. You're not avoiding life. You're owning it. The Stoics didn't waste energy on the petty. They saved it for what counted. Silence lets you do the same, focusing your strength like a laser instead of letting it scatter like dust. Control in the calm. Let's bring it home. Stillness is control. When everything's loud, deadlines crashing, voices clashing, thoughts racing, it's easy to lose yourself. You snap, you panic, you drift. But in silence, you take back the reins. You're not at the mercy of the chaos. You're above it. Picture this. A fight breaks out at home. Tempers flare, words fly. The old you jumps in, yelling to be heard. The new you steps back, finds a quiet corner, breathes. You feel the heat, sure, but you don't let it burn you. You wait, you think, you respond when the time's right. That's not retreat, that's mastery. The Stoics lived this. Epictetus taught that we can't control the world's noise, but we can control our own. A screaming crowd, a scheming rival, a crumbling plan, none of it could touch their core unless they let it. You've got that same power. Next time life's a circus, don't join the clowns, step into the quiet. It's not about hiding, it's about grounding. In that stillness, you decide, this doesn't own me. I do. That's real control, the kind no one can steal. Building the habit. How do you make it yours? Start small, you don't need a mountain retreat. Steal 5 minutes. No music, no screen, just you. Sit, breathe, let your mind wander, then reel it in. It'll fight, we're wired for noise, but keep going. Notice the air, the sounds you've ignored, the thoughts you've buried. It's awkward at first, like flexing a rusty muscle. But every time you do it, that muscle grows. Soon you'll crave it not as an escape, but as a reset. A walk with no earbuds, a coffee with no scroll, a night with no TV. These aren't sacrifices. They're gifts. Make it daily. The Stoics did. They'd end each day in silence, reflecting on what went right, what went wrong, what they'd do better. You can too. Ask, what pulled me off track today? What can I let go? It's not about perfection. It's about presence. Over time, you'll feel it, a calm that sticks, a strength that builds. The world's still loud, but you're not. You're steady, rooted, ready for anything. The strength you find. Here's the beauty. Silence isn't just a break. It's a breakthrough. It's where you meet yourself, unfiltered, unshaken. Every quiet moment is a brick in your foundation. A reminder that you don't need the noise to be strong. You need the stillness to know you already are. The Stoics knew this. True power isn't in the shout, but in the whisper within. That argument you didn't escalate, that worry you didn't feed, that dream you finally heard, that's you winning in the quiet. So next time the world spins too fast, and it will, don't chase it. Step back. Find the silence. Let it strip away the clutter. Sharpen your focus. Steady your soul. It's not weakness. It's wisdom. It's not retreat. It's reclaiming. You've got a strength in there, deep and still waiting to rise. Embrace it and watch how it changes everything. The role of discipline and consistency. What if the secret to turning your wildest dreams into reality isn't a burst of inspiration or a lucky break, but something quieter, steadier, and entirely within your grasp? We're obsessed with the big moments, the lightning strike of motivation, the grand gesture that changes everything. But the truth is, those flashes fade fast, leaving you with nothing but a flicker unless you've got something stronger to back them up. That something is discipline, the unsung hero, the quiet engine that drives success when the spotlight's off and the cheering stops. It's not sexy, it's not loud, but it's relentless, turning fragile hopes into solid victories through the power of consistency. Discipline doesn't wait for you to feel ready. It shows up every day, building your strength, forging your resilience, carrying you through the darkest storms. Are you ready to ditch the excuses and embrace the steady force that can transform your life? Let's dive into the role of discipline and consistency, the bedrock of everything worth having. The myth of motivation. Let's start with a hard truth. Motivation is overrated. It's that fleeting spark, the rush you feel watching a TED Talk, the fire in your gut after a big idea hits, the I've got this vibe that pumps you up for a day or two. It's powerful, sure, but it's a tease. 1 minute it's there, lighting you up. The next it's gone, leaving you cold, staring at the same old mess. Ever started a diet on Monday, buzzing with resolve, only to crash by Wednesday when the donuts call? That's motivation, a sprinter, not a marathoner. It's great for a kickstart, but it won't carry you to the finish line. The world loves this myth. Find your passion, follow your bliss, as if feeling good is the key to winning. But life doesn't care about your mood. The gym doesn't show up at your door. The book doesn't write itself. The Stoics saw through this centuries ago. They didn't wait for the stars to align or the muse to whisper. They acted, day in, day out, because they knew that real progress isn't built on feelings. It's built on habits. Discipline is the bridge between I want this and I did this, and consistency is the bricks that make it stand. You don't need to feel inspired to move. You just need to move. The quiet power of discipline. So what is discipline? It's not punishment or perfection. It's commitment. It's the alarm you set when you'd rather sleep, the workout you finish when your legs scream, the page you write when your brain's blank, the showing up when no one's watching, when the thrill's gone, when the odds suck. It's not loud. There's no fanfare for skipping the snooze button, but it's deep. It's the steady drip that carves a canyon, the small yes that builds a mountain. The Stoics lived this. Marcus Aurelius didn't rule Rome on a whim. He rose early, wrote daily, faced battles with a calm forged by routine. Think of someone you admire, not a celebrity, but someone real. Maybe a parent who worked 2 jobs to keep the lights on, a friend who trained for years to run a marathon. You on a day you pushed past, I can't. What got them there? Not a one-off burst. It was discipline, the quiet choice to keep going when it wasn't easy. That's the magic. It doesn't demand talent or luck, just will. It's the muscle you flex every time you say, not today, to temptation and yes to the grind. And like any muscle, it grows stronger with use. Consistency, the compound effect. Here's where it gets good. Discipline pairs with consistency to create something unstoppable. One push-up won't sculpt your body. One page won't write your novel. One no won't break a habit. But do it every day? That's a game changer. Consistency is the compound interest of effort, small, steady actions stacking up, turning pebbles into pyramids. You don't see it at first. Day 1 feels like nothing, week 1 feels slow. But over time, it snowballs. A year of 5 minutes reading daily? That's 30 hours of wisdom. A year of 1 healthy meal a day. That's a new you. The Stoics were masters of this. They didn't chase quick wins. They built lives of virtue through daily practice. Meditate today, reflect tomorrow, repeat forever. It wasn't about overnight glory. It was about relentless smallness adding up to greatness. Think of it like planting a seed. You water it daily, not because it sprouts overnight, but because you trust the process. Life's the same. Want to get fit? 1 workout's a start. 365 is a transformation. Want peace? 1 quiet moment's nice. A habit of stillness is unshakable. Consistency turns, I'll try into I am. Beyond the easy days. Let's get gritty. Discipline shines brightest when it's hard. Anyone can stick to a plan when the sun's out, motivation's high. The path's clear, the vibes are good. But real strength shows up when the rain hits. You're tired, the goal's blurry. The couch calls. That's when discipline steps in. Not with a cheer, but with a firm, get up. It's the voice that says, you don't have to feel like it. You just have to do it. The Stoics thrived here. Seneca didn't write his letters in a bubble. He faced exile, loss, chaos. Yet he kept going, day after day, because discipline was his anchor. Ever had a week like that? Everything's off, work's a mess, your energy's shot, life's throwing punches. You could quit, plenty do. But instead, you drag yourself to the desk, the gym, the mirror, and you do the thing. No one claps, but you feel it, that quiet win, that proof you're tougher than the storm. That's discipline carrying you, not because it's fun, but because it's you refusing to fold. It's the difference between those who dream and those who deliver, not talent, Not luck. Just the grit to show up when it sucks. Building the habit. How do you make it yours? Start small. Discipline isn't born big. Pick one thing. 5 push-ups a day, 10 minutes of writing, a walk at dusk. Make it non-negotiable, not if I feel like it, but this is who I am. Set a cue. Alarm goes off, shoes go on. Keep it simple, no grand overhaul, just one brick. The Stoics loved this. They'd stack tiny habits. Journal at night, reflect at dawn. At first, it's work, your brain fights, your body groans. But stick with it. A week in, it's easier. A month in, it's you. Track it. Mark an X on a calendar. Feel the chain grow. Miss a day? Fine, life happens. But don't miss 2. Consistency hates gaps. Discipline hates excuses. When the why fades, and it will lean on the what. I do this because I said I would. That's enough. Over time, it's not just a habit. It's a lifeline. You'll crave the rhythm, not because it's flashy, but because it's yours. The Stoics didn't wait for perfect conditions. They made them, one steady step at a time. Resilience in the grind. Here's the gold. Discipline builds more than success. It builds resilience. Life's a roller coaster. Highs are sweet, lows are brutal. Motivation bails when the track dips. Discipline stays. You lose a job, a love, a dream. The world says, give up. Discipline says, keep moving. It's the spine that holds you up when everything else collapses. Think of a time you fell hard. Maybe you're there now. What got you through? Not a pep talk, not a miracle. It was you showing up, doing the next right thing day after day. The Stoics knew this. Adversity isn't the end, it's the forge. Every no you push past, every tired yes you muster, tempers your steel. You're not just chasing a goal, you're crafting a soul that bends but never breaks. That's why discipline matters. It's not about the finish line. It's about the you that gets there, tougher, wiser, ready for anything. A week of grit turns into a month, a year, a life. You don't just survive the dips, you thrive in them. The strength you forge. Let's land this. Discipline and consistency aren't glamorous. No one's filming your 5 a.m. run or your late-night hustle, but they're gold. They're the quiet hands that shape your dreams into reality, the steady feet that carry you through hell. The Stoics didn't promise easy. They promised worth it. Every day you choose discipline, you're not just building a habit, you're building yourself. That goal you hit, that strength you feel, it's not luck. It's you showing up, stacking wins, proving what's possible. So next time the spark fades, and it will, don't wait for it. Move anyway. Pick one thing, do it daily, watch it grow. You don't need to feel great, you need to be great, and discipline makes you that. It's your power, your promise, your proof. Embrace it and watch how it changes everything. Overcoming self-doubt. What if the biggest obstacle standing between you and everything you're capable of isn't out there in the world, but whispering inside your own head? It's a quiet voice, sneaky and relentless, telling you you're not enough, not smart enough, not strong enough, not worthy enough. Self-doubt is the silent thief of potential, creeping in when you least expect it, wrapping its cold fingers around your dreams, and pulling you back just when you're ready to leap. It's born from fear, irrational, slippery, and oh so convincing. But here's the secret it doesn't want you to know. You don't have to banish it to beat it. Real strength comes from acting anyway, from stepping into the ring with doubt, riding shotgun, and proving it wrong, one move at a time. Every action you take despite that nagging voice chips away at its power, building a you that's tougher, braver, unstoppable. Are you ready to stop listening to the lies and start rewriting the story? Let's dive into overcoming self-doubt, the fight that turns your fears into fuel. The silent killer. Let's call it what it is. Self-doubt is a predator. It doesn't roar, it whispers. You'll fail. It murmurs as you eye that job application. They'll laugh. It hisses when you think of speaking up. Who do you think you are? It sneers when you dare to dream big. It's not loud enough to argue with, not bold enough to confront. It's a shadow, slinking through your thoughts, feeding on every hesitation. And it's universal, no one's immune. The smartest minds, the boldest hearts, They've all heard it. You're not alone in this. You're just human. Think about a time it hit you. Maybe you had a chance, a project, a goal, a moment to shine, and that voice kicked in. You're not ready, it said, and you froze. Maybe you didn't apply, didn't try, didn't speak. The opportunity slipped away, and later, you wondered, what if? That's self-doubt's game. It doesn't need proof to win, it just needs you to believe it. The Stoics saw this clearly. They knew it wasn't the world that stopped us. It was our own irrational fears, our own minds spinning tales of defeat before the fight even started. But they also knew something else. Doubt's only as strong as you let it be. The roots of doubt. Where does it come from? Fear, plain, messy human fear. Fear of failure. Sure, who wants to fall flat? But it's deeper. Fear of judgment. Fear of the unknown. Fear of not measuring up. Maybe it's a ghost from the past, a teacher who said you'd never make it, a rejection that stung too long, a mistake you can't unsee. Or maybe it's the world now. Social media flashing perfect lives, comparisons that cut, pressure to be more. Your mind grabs those threads and weaves a web. I can't. I won't. I shouldn't. It feels real, but it's not. It's a mirage, a trick of perception. The Stoics had a name for this. Fantasia, impressions, not facts. Doubt isn't truth. It's a story, and stories can be rewritten. That time you bombed a presentation, doubt says, you're a failure. Reality says, you had an off day. That gap in your skills, doubt screams, you'll never catch up. Reason counters, you can learn. Doubt thrives on the irrational. It's a fear factory, churning out worst-case scenarios. But here's the twist. You don't have to buy what it's selling. You can question it, challenge it, act against it. And that's where the shift begins. Action as the antidote. Let's get to the good stuff. You don't beat self-doubt by waiting it out. It's not a cloud that drifts away if you sit still long enough. It's a shadow that shrinks when you move into the light. Action is the cure, the hammer that cracks doubt's grip. Not big, flashy moves, small, steady ones. Doubt says, you can't write a book? Write a sentence. You'll flop at that workout? Do one push-up. They'll reject you? Send the email. Every step you take, no matter how tiny, is a middle finger to that voice, proof you're stronger than it thinks. The Stoics loved this. They didn't waste time wrestling with feelings, they acted. Epictetus said, the chief task in life is simply this, to identify and separate matters so that I can say clearly to myself which are externals not under my control, and which have to do with the choices I actually control. Doubt's an external, it's noise, not you. Your choice? That's internal, and it's yours. Act on it. Maybe you stutter through that speech, sweat through that first mile, fumble that pitch, fine. You did it. Doubt predicted collapse. You delivered defiance. That's the win. Proving it to yourself. Here's where it gets real. Every action builds evidence. Doubt thrives on what if I fail? What if I'm not enough? Action answers with what is. I tried. I learned. I'm still here. Think of a time you pushed past it. Maybe you asked someone out, heart pounding, expecting a no, and got a yes. Or maybe you bombed, but survived, and realized the sky didn't fall. Either way, you proved something. You can move through fear. That's not just a moment. It's a brick in your foundation. A fact doubt can't erase. Look at the greats. Thomas Edison didn't invent the light bulb on try one. He failed thousands of times, doubted himself plenty, but kept tinkering. J.K. Rowling faced rejection after rejection, her mind whispering, give up. But she typed on. Their secret? They didn't wait for confidence. They built it one stubborn step at a time. You've got that in you. That job you're scared to chase? Apply. That skill you're shaky on? Practice. Each move stacks the deck, not against failure, but against doubt's lie that you're helpless. The shrinking shadow. Let's go deeper. Action doesn't just prove, it weakens. Doubt's a bully, loud when you're still, quiet when you fight back. The more you act, the less it talks. First time you speak up, it's a roar. They'll hate you. You do it, they don't, and next time it's a grumble. Run a mile, shaky and slow doubt says, "You're weak. Run again," and it's quieter. Over time, it's a whisper, then a ghost. Not gone, it's human to doubt, but tamed. You've trained it. "I hear you, but I'm moving anyway." The Stoics saw this as rational triumph, reason over fear. Doubt's irrational. It's all maybe and no proof. Action's rational. It's "here's what I did." Stack enough dids, and the maybes lose their bite. You're not fearless. You're fearless enough. That presentation you nailed after 10 shaky tries? That habit you built through 100 small wins? Doubt's still there, but it's not driving, you are. And that shift is freedom, the kind that unlocks everything you've held back. Facing the edge. Let's get practical. Doubt loves the edge, that moment before you leap. It's loudest when you're close to growth, when the stakes feel high. That's not a sign to stop. It's a signal to go. Next time it hits, feel it. "I'm terrified I'll screw this up." Good, that means it matters. Then act. One step, one breath, one try. Maybe it's asking for a raise, starting that side hustle, saying no for once. Doubt will scream, let it. Move anyway. You don't need to feel ready, you need to be willing. Reframe it. Doubt's not a wall. It's a door. The Stoics flipped obstacles into opportunities. This isn't stopping me. It's testing me. That fear of failing is a chance to prove you won't quit. That worry of looking dumb is a shot to show you're bold. Action turns "I can't" into "I did." Not perfectly, not always, but enough. And every enough shrinks the shadow, builds the you who doesn't just dream, but does. The strength you unleash. Here's the payoff. Overcoming self-doubt isn't about silencing it. It's about outgrowing it. Every step you take despite that voice is a victory. A brick in a tower of proof. You're capable, you're resilient, you're enough. The Stoics knew this. Strength isn't the absence of fear, but the habit of facing it. That goal you hit after doubting every inch, that risk you took when your knees shook, that's you, not the whisper defining who you are. So, next time doubt creeps in, and it will, don't wait for it to leave. Small, messy, brave, doesn't matter. Prove it wrong, not with words, but with deeds. You're not your fears, you're your choices. Stack them up, watch doubt fade, and step into the potential it tried to steal. That's your strength, your power, your win. Claim it and watch how it changes everything. Building inner resilience. What if the strength that carries you through life's toughest storms isn't something you're born with, but something you build brick by brick, fall by fall? Life doesn't spare anyone. It's a wild ride of highs and lows, and the lows can hit hard. Loss, failure, pain that knocks the wind out of you. Most people think strength is about dodging those blows, staying upright forever. But real strength, the kind that lasts, isn't about never falling. It's about resilience, the quiet, unbreakable ability to take the hit, feel the weight, and rise again. It's not avoiding adversity. It's enduring it, learning from it, growing through it until you're tougher than the storm itself. Imagine seeing every struggle not as a foe, but as a teacher, every stumble as a chance to stand taller. That's resilience, your foundation, your power. Are you ready to forge it and become unshakable? Let's dive into building inner resilience, the strength that turns life's fires into fuel. The bedrock of strength. Let's start here. Resilience isn't flashy, it's foundational. It's the steel in your spine when the world cracks around you, the root that keeps you grounded when the winds howl. Life's unpredictable. One day you're soaring, the next you're flat on your face. A job vanishes, a loved one leaves, a dream shatters. These aren't if moments, they're when. Most buckle under that weight, thinking it's the end. But resilience says, this isn't the end. It's the forge. It's not about pretending it doesn't hurt. It's about knowing you can hurt and still heal, still stand, still fight. Think of a time you thought you couldn't go on. Maybe it's now, a dark stretch where every step feels heavy. Yet here you are, reading this, breathing, moving. That's resilience already at work, quiet, stubborn, alive. The Stoics understood this. They didn't pray for an easy life. They built the grit to face a hard one. Seneca wrote, Difficulties strengthen the mind, as labor does the body. Every ache, every scar, every tear, they're not breaking you. They're building you. Resilience is the base camp. Without it, nothing else stands. Adversity as the teacher. Here's the shift. Stop seeing hardship as the enemy. It's not out to destroy you. It's here to shape you. Every blow life lands is a lesson. Every fall a classroom. Lose a job? It's teaching you adaptability, showing you what you're made of when the paycheck's gone. Face rejection? It's schooling you in self-worth, proving your value isn't tied to a yes. Hit rock bottom? It's stripping away the fluff, revealing what matters. The Stoics flipped the script. Marcus Aurelius said, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." That struggle? It's not a wall. It's a chisel, carving you into something stronger. Look back. What's the hardest thing you've survived? A breakup that gutted you, a failure that burned, a loss that hollowed you out? You didn't just make it through, you learned. Maybe you found patience, grit, a fire you didn't know you had. That's adversity teaching, not punishing. The world sees it as defeat. Resilience sees it as training. Every time you face the mess, not with a smile, but with a steady, "I'll handle this." You're not just enduring, you're evolving. The teacher's tough, but the lessons are gold. Rising after the fall. Let's get gritty. Resilience shines in the dirt. Falling isn't failure, staying down is. Life will knock you flat. A diagnosis, a betrayal, a dream deferred, and it'll hurt like hell. Your knees will buckle, your breath will catch, your mind will scream, "I'm done." That's human. But resilience isn't about dodging the fall. It's about the rise. It's the whisper that says, "Get up," when every bone says, "Stay." It's not pretty. It's sweaty, shaky, raw, but it's real. You don't rise because it's easy. You rise because it's you. Ever seen someone bounce back from the abyss? A friend who lost everything, then rebuilt. Parent who grieved, then smiled again. You, after a day you swore would end you? That's not luck, that's resilience. The quiet choice to stand when sitting simpler. The Stoics lived this. Epictetus, a former slave, didn't curse his chains. He forged a mind no chain could hold. You've got that spark. That time you cried all night, then faced the dawn? That's it, flickering, growing, proving you bend but don't break. The practice of persistence. How do you build it? It's not a gift, it's a grind. Start with acceptance. Life's messy, and you'll fall. Don't fight that, lean in. This sucks, you say when the blow lands. Fine, feel it, name it, let it sit. Then ask, what now? Not why me? That's a trap. But what's my move? Maybe it's a call for help. A step back to breathe. A tiny push forward. Resilience isn't born in big leaps. It's forged in small, stubborn steps. The Stoics did this daily. They'd face the chaos, then choose, I can't fix this, but I can face it. Try it. Next hit you take a missed deadline, a harsh word, don't flinch. Sit with it. Okay, this happened. What's one thing I can do? Maybe you redo the work, talk it out, let it go. It's not about winning the war in a day. It's about fighting the battle now. Keep showing up, tired, scared, bruised, and you'll see each I did it stacks up. Each I'm still here toughens you. Consistency isn't just for goals. It's for grit. The more you rise, the less the fall scares you. Reframing the struggle. Let's flip it. Every struggle's a mirror. It shows you what you've got and not what you lack. That fight that drained you, it revealed your stamina. That loss that crushed you, it uncovered your heart. Resilience grows when you stop asking, why is this happening? And start asking, what's this teaching me? The Stoics were pros at this. They'd take a blow, a storm, a betrayal, and say, good, how do I use it? You can too. Spill coffee on your shirt before a meeting? All right, I'll learn to laugh. Miss a goal? Fine, I'll sharpen my aim. Think of a hero, real, not myth. Mandela in his cell, Lincoln in his gloom, your neighbor who keeps going despite it all. They didn't dodge pain, they reframed it. This isn't the end, they said. It's the start. That's your power. That breakup isn't your ruin, it's your redo. That failure isn't your grave, it's your grindstone. Every time you reframe, you don't just survive, you thrive. The struggle's still there, but it's not the boss you are. The unshakable core. Here's where it shines. Resilience makes you bulletproof, not to pain, but to despair. Life will keep swinging a punch today, a jab tomorrow, but you'll stand taller each time. You'll feel the hit. Sure, tears will fall, doubts will creep, but they won't own you. You'll know, I've been here before. I got up then. I'll get up now. That's the core the Stoics chased. A mind that bends under pressure but snaps back. A heart that breaks but heals stronger. You're not invincible, you're adaptable, durable, alive. Ever met someone who's been through hell and glows anyway? They're not faking it, they've built it. That's you, stacking falls into strength. That job loss that gutted you? You found another. That grief that swallowed you? You carried it, then carried on. Each rise is a brick, not pretty, not perfect, but solid. Over time, you'll see. Nothing can shatter you unless you let it. The setbacks don't define you, your comeback does. The strength you grow. Let's land this. Resilience isn't static, it's alive, growing with every test. Every time you face adversity, not with a shrug, but with a steady, I'll take it. You're not just holding on, you're hardening up. The Stoics didn't fear the grind. They welcomed it, knowing each scar was a stripe of honor. That fight you're in now, the one that's raw and real, it's not your enemy, it's your maker. Face it, learn from it, rise through it, and you'll find a you that's not just tough, but unbreakable. So next time life knocks you down, and it will, don't curse it. Feel it. Ask, what's this teaching me? Then stand. Shaky, slow, strong, doesn't matter. You're building something no storm can topple. A resilience that's yours, forged in fire, rooted in will. That's your strength, your story, your win. Grow it and watch how it changes everything. So here's the truth we've uncovered today. Your inner strength is the key to every victory worth having. It's not about the applause of the crowd, the nod of approval from others, or some golden ticket the world hands you. It's about what's already inside. It's the power to master your mind when chaos swirls, to tame your emotions when they roar, to guide your actions when the path's unclear. You don't need permission to win, you need control, and that control is yours to claim. The beauty of it? It starts with one choice, one small step, one quiet yes to yourself every single day. That decision to show up, to push forward, to unlock what's within isn't just a moment. It's the spark that can set your whole life ablaze with purpose and power. This isn't a race to the top. It's a journey inward. You don't have to overhaul everything overnight. Start where you stand. A minute of silence to clear your head, a breath to steady your heart, a single act to defy your doubts. Stack those moments, day after day, and watch what happens. The strength you've been searching for isn't out there. It's in you, waiting to rise. The Stoics knew it, history proves it, and now it's your turn to live it. Your life won't change because the world bends to you, it'll change because you bend the world to your will, one disciplined, resilient, courageous step at a time. So what's your next move? Choose it, act on it, own it. That's how you win, not for anyone else, but for you. And now, to every one of you who've stayed with me to the end, thank you. From the bottom of my heart, thank you for giving your time, your attention, your energy to this journey we've taken together. You didn't just watch, you showed up, you listened, you let these words sink in, and that means more than I can say. If this resonated with you, if it sparked even a flicker of something inside, I'd love to hear from you. Drop a comment below with your own I choose strength. And let's build that fire together. Don't forget to hit that like button if you found value here, subscribe if you want more, and turn on notifications so you never miss a chance to grow with us. You're not just an audience, you're a force, and I'm honored to be part of your path. Stay strong, stay steady, and keep unlocking the power within you. Until next time, thank you, and I'll see you soon.